Paul, where can I get one of those? I love I love your opening logo.
Wow. Well, I cannot tell you that every moment is a moment of truth. And Russ, well, this is a moment of truth for me and for you. So, thank you for joining us at our Presenting Your Confident Self. And I can tell you something now, I wasn't very confident that we were going to make it to today. Well, Amy, thank you for all that you've done in the background. I know that we have a lot of people. Well, are there eyes out there? Are we live yet?
Yeah, we are. Everything's working as smooth as
That
it
is, I cannot believe it. We are actually live. I just wonder why we not seeing any eyeballs. Oh, it's incredible. Anyway, Russ, Amy, thank you for the background. Really appreciate everything. We are joined by my friend Russ Peterson. And Russ, tell us. Yeah, you introduce yourself.
Actually, let's do something different. Let me introduce you, and then you can introduce me. How's that? We've known each other long enough. So I will introduce our audience today. First of all, thank you, Paul, for asking me to join. I'm joining from the Austin, Texas area, and my brother from another mother, as I've described him before, Paul Slattery, is joining us from Dublin, Ireland. And I am so privileged to not only be his guest today, but to know him as long as I have. I will say that he has got, this is what I love about coaches who do executive presence, or coaches who help others communicate more effectively. This is what you need to know about Paul, is that not only is he a master of his craft, he is still a student of his craft, which means he is never going to stop learning. And that's the type of coach you want. And then here's the secret ingredient for the coach that you want. You want someone who has a heart like him. He truly has, I say that his heart beats for the mind of the student. He wants you to learn more than anything else. Nothing brings him pure joy other than seeing you do well when you're up on that stage, whether it's a conference room or whether it's the big stage. He cannot wait to see you succeed. So that is Paul in a nutshell. He's got lots of expertise, and I'm so glad that he is delivering all this information to you, and that he has asked me to be of some assistance. That's Paul.
Well, me now introducing Mr. Russ Peterson. When we think about presenting your confident self, it's going to be a tough one for me to introduce him. Russ, I have known since 1999. We met in Boston. Well, no, it was Boston. We went to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. But not only is he a long-term colleague because he had raised through the ranks in the corporate environment, but not only that, he is the co-author for 2 books. It's the first one was Cut the CRAP. I love that book. I have it in my shelf here. And the second one, Corporate Ovations, which became #1 business presentations book on Amazon. Russ, we start off this and we're talking about presenting our confident self. Tell me now, what advice do you start with when someone asks you about appearing more confident?
Yeah. And Paul, we get this question a lot. And the question is, how can I look more confident when I'm presenting? And whenever I'm asked that question, I listen, and then I say, that's easy. And it is easy. So for all of our audience today too, if you want to look more confident, you only have to do one thing. It's so simple. Be more confident. And so I tell them, just be more confident and you'll look more confident. And they go, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants coach, how do I be more confident? And then I look at them and I say, that's a better question. Let's focus on that. In other words, this is not about acting. It's not about looking a certain way, but being something different. Your ultimate goal should be to become more confident. And coaches like Paul are able to help you do that. we don't always start with the highest level of confidence, but it builds over time, Paul, right? And so let's focus on that. Let's become more confident. So
I'm becoming more. When you think about becoming more confident, you're using the word become. A lot of people say fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I know you don't like that.
I'm not a big fan of just the word fake, because when it comes to speaking with authenticity and to be a true leader and to be confident, it's not about fake. There's nothing fake about it. We want you to be authentic, be totally authentic. And so I know what they're saying, fake it till you make it. And I somewhat agree with, yes, you're not going to be totally confident, but it will build over time. Yes, I get that. I'm not a big fan of the saying, because there's nothing fake about leadership or confidence or communication. So
what? Go ahead. Yeah.
I have a question for you. I want to bounce it back to you. So when it comes to being confident, I know that you help with, one of the things is it's the preparation before we go. So, and just so everyone knows, we talked about our conversation today, and we're going to focus on some preparation pieces, some messaging pieces, and then some body language type pieces. But focusing on that preparation piece, I know that you start there when you're coaching. How can I help people become more confident by helping them prepare? I know rehearsal is part of that also, but can you tell us just what are some of the techniques that you like to share when it comes to rehearsal in order to get people ready and confident?
There are 7 questions on the foundation of all communication. 7 questions. The first one, what do you want them to know at the end of the presentation or the communication? What do you want them to know? So knowledge, what impart of knowledge do you want to leave with them? Feel, how do you want them to feel? What emotional connection do you want to have? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel confident? Do you want them to feel concerned? So the first part is knowledge, the logical part of your delivery. What do you want them to know? The second part is emotion, appeal to emotion. What do you want them to feel at the end? And lastly, what action do you want them to take?
Can I interrupt? No, feel do. I want to interrupt you. I know you said there's like 7, but go back to the feel, because I'm sure you've experienced this as well. And I think a lot of our audience has also, that when it comes to business, which is we coach people in a business professional environment. I've gotten this before where they say feelings, like, what does feelings have to do with this? Have you heard about AI? Have you heard about data and metadata and metadata? And everyone's got data. And so the assumption is, and we all like to think that we're logical human beings. We all like to think that we make decisions for logical, rational reasons. My question is, what do feelings have to do with any of this?
Well, data doesn't have soul. We got to put energy into and appeal to emotion. I mean, everything that you're wearing, Russ, everything that I wear, did you purchase that based on logical reasoning or emotional reasoning? And we know that we purchase based on emotion. You tell me, what did you go out and you start looking at the price tag and every single thing and say, oh no, I think I'll look good in that. And when you put it on, I'll feel good in that.
I feel confident in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when we think about the data, we have so many statistical information, so much data that needs to be shared with our audience. What's the impact? What's the feeling? What's the story behind the data? What feelings do you want to have? And stories are all about feeling.
That's nice. That's nice. I love that. I still remember a conversation with someone who asked me about feeling. They were in engineering of some kind, I think mechanical, and they said, we make all our decisions based on the data. We run the tests, we look at it, whatever the data says, then we just make that decision. And so just to play with him a little, I knew he had a good personality because I'd known him for 2 days now in this workshop.
All right.
And so I pushed back a little, and I said, oh, hold on a second. So you're making decisions based on data. Where's that data coming from? He said, it's our engineering team. I said, "You got good engineers?" He's like, "What do you mean? Of course we do." I said, I mean, like they passed calculus with something better than a C, in school." And he could tell I was joking with him. He was like, "What do you mean?" "Yes, we have the best engineers in the world." I said, "Excellent. I just wanted to establish the fact that you feel confident in the data."
Ah, I love it.
Confidence is a feeling. If you're confident in the data, that's a feeling. There's always a feeling attached to it. Paul, you and I have had the privilege over the past 2.5, 3 decades of working with some amazing speakers and some amazing leaders, and they could be on the org chart at the C level, or they could be somewhere in between, but just some amazing leaders and communicators. And so the best, the absolute best that we have had the privilege to work with, they get it. They understand that feeling always plays a part. Sometimes it plays a larger part. Sometimes it plays a less part, but it's always there. And the reason, just what you said earlier, we're dealing with humans, and humans do things based on logic and feeling, both of those. I bought the shirt because logically it made sense from a pricing standpoint, but I will say this. It's me seeing it and having a feeling like, ooh, that looks nice. I love blue. I do. Everything I have is blue, it seems like. And so I knew that I wanted it. So there was the feeling at first and then the logic. They're both there.
I just wonder, we have a lot of executives that you and I know and we coach.
Mm-hmm.
How about techniques for handling so we've got ourselves prepared.
Yeah.
And what about techniques?
Before we get into techniques, go back, because we promised 7. You said 7, right? 7 questions?
Yeah.
You only gave 3. So we don't have to go into a lot of depth, but you better fill out if they're taking notes here, which I hope they are, just fill out. So you said no, feel, do at the end. What do you want them to know, feel, and do?
Yeah. Okay, so I have 7. Yeah. No, feel, do.
Yeah.
Then the do is the action component.
Yeah.
What action?
Yeah.
What actions do you want them to take? Yeah. What actions? So the do, what actions do you want them to take? And then who are they? That's the 4th question.
Okay.
Who are they? How can you connect with them? Who
Engineers,
are they?
salespeople, executives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So who are they? After that, what do they already know? I do love this one. It's something that I learned from you. Are they experts or are they novices? So what do they already know?
Okay.
Now, we always present to the novice. It's something that you and I talk about. We should present to the novice and then raise our way right up to subject matter expert and then come back down the ladder. So think about it as a ladder of communication. Start off with the novice. Explain the information and knowledge that they might have or you might have, and then raise your way up to subject matter expert. And then don't forget to come back down again. We always present to the novice. So that's number 5. Number 6, what do they care about? What concerns, what questions might they have? What concerns, questions might you get from them?
About what do they care about? Right? About this subject. Like, do they even care about this topic? Are they, as we refer to them, sometimes we get sponges in a class. They want to learn as much as they can. Sometimes we get prisoners. Their boss told them they have to be in this class, right? How much do they really care about this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, what do they, when we think about cares and concerns, last one is how much time do you have?
Yeah.
Now, time makes a big factor in all of this. Timing is critical. And so how much time do you have? And they're the 7 questions you have to answer. 1, what do they, first of all, what do you want them to know at the end of your presentation? 2, how do you want them to feel at the end of your presentation? What action do you want them to take at the end of your presentation? Who are they? How can you connect with them? What do they already know? Subject matter experts, or are they novices? And lastly, what do they care about? And then lastly, how much time do you have?
How much time do you have? Speaking of time, we'll move on because I know we're 23 minutes past the hour. We want to give them as much as we can in this 1 hour. Excellent. I appreciate that. Those 7 questions will help you prepare before you speak to the audience and to help build that message. And this is where the confident self comes from. If you show up just to wing it, we've heard that phrase so many times, haven't we, Paul? Like, oh, I'll just wing it. I'm comfortable in front of people. I'll just wing it. You end up wandering around the wilderness and you don't have an effective message. And it can lead to you as a presenter looking very less than confident. So have a prepared message, know who you're speaking to, why you're speaking to them. Do they care about this? So prep that message. So what about, do you want to jump to the topic of what if you prepared your message and you're going to speak and then all of a sudden, sometimes people refer to it as the butterflies in their stomach. They're about to speak. It's like, I did all my prep, but now all of a sudden it hits me right before we're going to speak. Like, how do you take care of those, I guess, those butterflies?
Well, within our programs, of course, you will be well familiar with our programs. The area of know your subject. So how do you overcome fear and anxiety? You've got to know your subject. We talk about prepare for questions because you're going to get concerns, and then rehearse your delivery. Know your subject, prepare for questions, and rehearse your delivery.
Yeah,
that's a critical component. Yeah.
Just FYI, the slide came up and it was all black. Just letting you know. I don't know why I didn't show the slide, but hey, it's gremlins in the system, but that doesn't mean we can't give them the info ourselves. So don't worry about it.
We know that you know your subject. So never present unless you know your subject.
Yeah.
You're handling the number 2 fear in the world called glossophobia. Know your subject. Prepare for questions, and rehearse means actually doing it, recording yourself. Now, so exactly. Pick up the phone.
Yep. Can I add something to that? I brought this up in a recent workshop, and I asked for a show of hands. I had about 20, 30 people in this workshop. I said, show of hands, how many people have heard that you should rehearse in front of a mirror? And just about every hand went up. And I said, don't ever do that again. And they were like, what? But they were like, what? I thought I've heard that all the time in front of a mirror. And I said, no, don't. And here's why. That when you rehearse in front of a mirror, you're asking your brain to do 2 things simultaneously. One is be the best, most confident presenter that you can be because you're rehearsing. And 2, be the best coach that you can be. Those 2 roles cannot be played simultaneously. You're going to constantly be switching back and forth between coach and speaker, coach and speaker, coach and speaker. It's not a good way to rehearse. The reason why you heard that practice in front of a mirror is because we didn't all walk around with one of these. Yeah. Now that we have one of these, you should video, just what Paul said, video record yourself just for a couple of minutes and be the best speaker that you can be. Then go back and watch the video and be the best coach that you can be.
I do like that. Now, people say to me all the time, it's not enough. So I say to them, well, let's look at other techniques. Because between you and I, coaching that we've done over the years, there must be at least 100 different types of relaxation techniques. What would you say? We've got this. Okay, we know our subject. Great. I prepare for questions. Good. I rehearse my delivery.
Yeah.
What else?
My favorite that I go to is it's a term that many people have most likely heard or read about. It's called mindfulness. Another way to say it is meditation. But here's what I tell people. I said, stick with me as I explain this rule just for a moment. So stick with me. I need to get your brain, your mind, and your body in the same space and time. And they look at me kind of quizzically like, what do you mean? Okay. And I said, so picture this. When you go to speak somewhere, your body is going to be there because you're going to put it on a train or a plane or whatever, and you're going to get your body there. But that does not guarantee that your mind will be there. Your mind can go anywhere in space or time, and it doesn't even have to be real. It could be fictional. I could fictionally go to the Marvel universe and and hang out with Thor. It's like your mind can go anywhere that it wants. If you get your mind and your body in the same space and time, you are what we call present. You are present. And what's what you're saying that you like, Paul? Something about before you taught it to me. You said
I
before
like
you
that. In order, in order to present, you must be present.
Yep.
You've got to be present.
Yes.
In order to.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
So
so good. So getting your mind and your body in the same space and time. Yeah.
Now, one of the things I do know, and that is when we see this, one, changing your posture. Professor Amy Cuddy, the power posturing, and how when we have an upright posture, it sends a signal to our brain that we are confident. So this power posturing, V for victory, even if you use steepling while you're presenting a steeple, like with your hands like this, it's sending a signal to the audience that you are confident and that you're prepared. So her research and her book called Presence actually shares that with us. Having an upright posture really sends a signal that you are confident.
You know, Paul, that
our emotions, our thoughts, the physical body language, our facial expression. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the posturing with the body this is something that we all know, I think, inherently. And you go back to you talking about my shirt is when you want to feel confident, when you put on a certain garment, whatever that is, when you put on, you feel a certain way. There's a reason why when people get married, it's maybe they want it to feel like a formal event, then they wear something formal. Or they wear something that whatever. We all know this. If you want to feel a certain way, for my wife, she calls them comfy pants. And when she gets home from wherever she's been out, she will look at me, and to relax, she actually needs to take off what she was wearing for the day and put on what she calls her comfy pants. They look like pajama pants, but she needs to put those on, and then she relaxes. And so we all know this, that the posturing with our body and then even what we wear, it can affect how we feel. And that shouldn't be taken lightly. Yes. If you want to feel more confident, what is one of your most confident, outfits, that you could wear if you're going to be in person? Do it. This is a good reason if you're doing virtual, don't sit around in shorts and bare feet and just put a shirt on up here. Go ahead and get fully dressed up. Why? It can affect the way that you feel. It really can.
I agree. I mean, dress up when you're feeling down.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. There you go.
We know our subject. We prepare for questions. We rehearse. Now we're getting prepared beforehand. So presence makes a big difference in what we're saying as well as what we're doing. And then I highly recommend breathing. 7-11 breathing. In through your nose, and I say wiggle your toes. Give it a go, Russ. Now, what I do want to know is we could also do the body scan like we did in rehearsal, okay? And we could do this while presenting. So this is beforehand. You breathe. You do 7-11 breathing. But you could also, while presenting, do what's called a body scan. Find the tension in your body. Russ, where's the tension in your body right now?
In my left leg, in my thigh, and in my left elbow.
Well, it's all over me at the moment. Every moment is a moment of truth. And so when we think about that, the breathing into the tension. So do a quick body scan, breathe into the tension in your body, and that will relax you more. However, beforehand, breathing, 7-11 breathing is highly recommended. And then lastly, powerful affirmations. Powerful affirmations. Our mind is consumed with negativity. If we use powerful affirmations, all begin with I am. Powerful affirmations all begin with I am. Russ, do you use powerful affirmations?
I do. Yeah.
You do? Good. Now, this boxer in the world. the greatest boxer in the world is called female, right? And she uses biblical affirmations. I'm suggesting that you use any affirmation that gets those negative thoughts in your head and cools them all the way down.
I do, and I myself am a believer, and I'm not suggesting that everyone else needs to take the same approach that I do. But I say a little prayer, and I pray for that I will use the right words and that I will give something of benefit to others. So my focus is always outward, and I find that when I approach everything with a heart for the learner, which I know you do as well, that I go into it and I just want to help them, and I want to give them something useful that they can use somewhere else. And it's not about me. Just this week I was doing a workshop, and we started off by letting people know the speaker speaks for the audience.
Yeah.
Always. And when you approach your presentations that way, you're doing it for them. You want to be of assistance to them. And I've had salespeople push back on me. I teach a lot of salespeople, and they say, well, it's kind of about me. I've got this thing called a quota, and I need to retire my quota for the quarter. And Paul and I have been in sales our entire career. We know what a quota is, and we know exactly what it is. But if you as a salesperson approach the presentation as if it's all about you and your quota, they're going to smell that a mile away, right? They're going to run the other direction, because customers do not want to be sold. But all customers want to buy.
Yeah.
They want to buy something, but only if it helps
agree.
them. So it's not about the salesperson selling. It's about the customer buying. So we need to look at it from the customer standpoint, find the need. And if you truly have a service or a product that can solve their need, then I am obligated to show it to them. I should be showing it to them. Why? Because I'm helping them. They need this. If they don't need it, and I'm trying to push it on them, that's just wrong. That's not what selling is. Selling, I tell all my salespeople that we train, salespeople are professional problem solvers. That's your job. So what is your job when it comes to prospecting? Salespeople, I will say that the majority of salespeople do not enjoy prospecting, going out and finding new business. But I tell them, you're not going out and finding new customers. You're finding problems. Go find some problems.
I like it.
That's all you're doing. Try to find some problems that we can help solve.
So when we think about these 3 techniques, we're talking, you change your posture, breathing of some sort, and positive self-talk, and think I'm presenting for the audience. And so posture, breathing, positive. We have take the action for the next 21 days. Next 21 presentations. Change your posture. Do breathing beforehand. Do some positive self-talk. And then reflect and journal at the end of your presentation. I know it will make a big difference. I do say that we need to have what's called a mini haka. Do you know what the haka is, Russ?
Only because you've taught it to me.
Yeah, we're not going to do the haka now, but you have to have your own mini routine. Anyway, how many more? We've got 1 or 2 more questions. And
I was going to say, since we were talking about presenting to the audience, we have an audience today, and several. Thank you, Lorraine and Fiona, Patrick, David. You've got a chat panel. You can put comments in here, and we can get your questions. So hello from Dubai. It doesn't have a name next to it. It just says a LinkedIn user. So not sure who's joining us from Dubai, but welcome from Dubai. If you have any questions, if you're like, well, I thought they were going to cover this topic, well, now's the time to ask. Put it in there, because we are happy to take questions from the group and give you some our thoughts on how we coach, whether it's executives or salespeople or whoever it might be, with some of those. So if you got questions, please put those in.
I do also want to, we talked about some other areas. Amy, we're going to be talking, we have a program coming up pretty soon, and I do want to promote Presenting for Success. And I also wanted to check and see if that QR code was going to work when it goes live. And Amy, you'll be joining me in Presenting for Success. And when is that taking place. Tell us a little bit more in here to have a chat. And
so yeah, it's taking
when I
place
finally
on
get this button to work.
October 31st in the RDS in Dublin, Ireland. So if you can't make it, I recommend trying to make it because it'd be a great event. And there's a particular number of spaces available. So yeah, get your tickets. And I have the QR code here will bring you to the Eventbrite, and there's all the details in there.
Now, we do have a special discount. Russ, if you flew over from Austin, Texas,
yeah,
I won't pay for your flight, but I will give you a discount.
Okay.
And the discount code is P for Papa, 4, the number 4, S for sugar, 10. P4S10 will get you a 10% discount during July and August. Amy, well done.
No problem.
Thank you so much. The QR code, I wanted to make sure the QR code was working. Any other questions, please put the questions into the chat window. We would love to hear more from you. We had a brilliant response to the number of people registered. I did not expect that we had over 200 people who wanted to join us for our session. And thank you, Amy, for all the hard work of reaching out to everybody. Now, we've done the promotional stuff. I do want to give something free away, Russ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really keen on giving away free. And become a more modern leader and a more effective communicator. And this is a download. You go to our resources and get this free download. So one you have to pay for, but you get a discount. And free is always nice and free. So you can go to our resources and get that for free. I do like free. Mr. Peterson, I'll never forget the time that I met you in the airport. And I was coming down the escalator and you were waiting for your bag. Can you tell me, what did I say to you? Back in it was 1999, correct? Or 2000? Was it 2000?
I don't know. It may have been 2000, but which airport? Is this in Boston?
Yeah, when I went to and I came down, we were in Boston, and I seen you.
If I'm remembering it right, it wasn't in the airport.
I know the first. Yeah, it was in the airport. The first part I remember. Sorry, the second part I remember more than the first part.
If I'm remembering it correctly, and you can tell if I'm wrong, but it was two things. First, you asked me if I was with Genuity, which was the name of the company that we both were there for. That our company and that company doesn't exist anymore. It was a spinoff of Verizon, if you've heard of Verizon. But anyway, you said, "Are you with Genuity?" And I said, "Yes." That was the first part. And the second part, you said, "Want to grab a pint?"
That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
that is unbelievable.
The rest is history.
Anyway, here we are, and we are looking at presenting our confident self. We've covered off the preparation, the 7 questions.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about posture, breathing exercises. What else could we give them?
Jazz hands?
Yeah. We could see
what
I do like. I want to know about congruency. Talking about hand gesturing, people always say to me, "What do I do with my hands?" I'm about congruency. True in the in-person, I'm talking about the virtual. Go ahead, Russ.
Oh, sorry. It's just so you know, the audio on your end broke up just a little bit. I don't know if that was for everyone or just me. But we have while I'm giving a response here, take a look at the questions. A few questions just came up that we could answer. For me, getting to body language or portraying your most confident self, I do get asked the question quite often about hands. It seems to always be a question. And just so you know, if you're someone who says like, "Yeah, what do I do with my hands?" We get asked this question at the C level, the CEO, CFO, COO, all the way down. Everyone seems to still have this question at times of, what do I do with these things? I feel a little awkward with my hands. And so here's the metaphor I give to everyone.
Yeah.
I want you to picture yourself right now at a dinner in a restaurant, and it's you and 4 friends, and you're sitting at a round table. I love round tables with about 5 people. It's one conversation. The 5 people are having one conversation, and you are telling a story. Not you, Paul, but I'm talking to our audience today. You are telling a story, and it's one of your best. It's one of your best. And the other 4 people at the table are enjoying this. They are enjoying this. My question to you, picture yourself telling this story. Are you using your hands at all when you're telling the story?
Of course.
Most people say, yes, yeah, of course I am. And then my second question is, are you thinking about or worried about what you're doing with your hands, or are you just telling the story? And they say, no, I'm just telling the story. I'm very comfortable. Exactly. That's where Paul and I want to get you to. We want to get you to the point where you are using your hands when you're speaking, and you're not worried about it. You're not thinking about it. Your brain already knows what to do with these. The reason why we feel awkward with them is because you're thinking about what to do with your hands. Stop thinking about what to do with your hands and focus on your message and delivering for your message. The hands will take care of themselves. You need to set them free. Set your hands free and let them do what they've been programmed to do. They know how to create congruent communication. When Paul mentioned congruent, everyone communicates with 3 channels. We call it the visual, the verbal, and the vocal. It's what the audience sees, visual. The verbal is what you say. Those are the words that you speak. And vocal is how you say those words. Those 3 channels are all sending separate messages. They have separate channels going to your audience. When they reach the audience, they combine those 3 into one meaning, one message and one meaning. If one of those 3 channels is sending a different message, they'll pick up on it and they'll recognize that there's something out of alignment here.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches this. Nobody teaches this to humans. We come from the factory this way. We are pre-programmed to look for alignment and congruency between those 3 channels. And if you don't get congruency, you sense that something is not right here. And Paul, I'll end with this. The simple explanation I give is I have 2 children. They're in their 20s now, but when they were very young, 2 years apart, they would do a little bit of this. Children, it was nothing major. They took turns. One would do this, one would do this. And so if my daughter had done it this time and I told her she needs to apologize, you need to apologize to, and she goes, I'm sorry. He did the same thing. They both did it. But if she did that, you would say, hey, she said the right words, verbal. Her tone of voice, does she sound sorry? She doesn't really sound sincerely sorry. And then body language, does she look sincerely sorry? And you'd say, not really. So do you see how one channel is going, I'm sorry. The other 2 is in kind of a different direction. It's not congruent. Trust me, I know my daughter, she's got a golden heart. And when you see her apologize and when she means it, oh, it'll bring you to tears because she's such a loving person. And so when she gives something like that, it's not very believable. So you want to project a confident self, get those 3 channels in alignment. All right, Paul, did you find a question you wanted?
Yeah, do you want to take 1 or 2? Do you want to take 1 or 2 questions?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you pick one? You pick one.
Well, we want to get no. You pick any one you want.
Okay.
Amy, you're come on back in here. What questions? What questions are you seeing from everybody out there? I know we see some. I know who's joining me from Dubai, and it's not my mum. It's not my brother, even though they signed up to make up the numbers. Mr. Clune, I know it's you. And I will be sending you I'm sending you my love. I'm sending you my love. All right, Amy, give me 1 or 2. Any questions that you see that are coming in that the audience would like us to address or talk about?
Yeah, so Patrick just asked, how do you balance speaking off the cuff versus scripted?
Very good. Very good. I do like that. Patrick, go ahead, Russ. Yeah.
I've got a response to that. First of all, Patrick, what we teach in one of our classes that Paul delivers is spontaneous presentations where you speak off the cuff. And what we teach is that there's actually messaging models that you carry around up here. They're tools that you carry around up here. So when you are asked to present off the cuff, what appears to be off the cuff to the audience and done very well is actually not off the cuff you're using one of your tools or models up here. So just a couple, I'll give them to you. If everyone's taking notes, please write this down. It's 3 pieces in each message. I'll give you 3 of them right now. One is good, bad, new. What's going well, what's not going so well, and then what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
Situation, action, results. What's the situation? What's the action you're taking? And what are the results that you expect or that you saw? And then what, why, how? What happened? Why did it happen? And how are you going to fix it? So those are 3 very effective messaging models, and they're easy, Patrick, to carry around up here. And when somebody asks you a question, you can the more you rehearse, the better you get at this. You can give your response in a structured format like that. It helps keep it concise, and it looks like it's off the cuff, but it's really not.
Well, the other thing that I do when we think about, Patrick, the situation, action, results is the past. You're talking about past. The good, bad, new is current. We call it corrective action. And then what, why, how is your future direction. The only one that I know, and I believe, Russ, correct me if I'm wrong, situation, action, results is if you're going into a nice conducive environment, and or you're in a sales process and you want to map out the journey for a client. It could be solution, action, results. Now, if we go in with it's going into a hostile environment, go with the results first. Then talk about the actions taken, because the situation is well known. Don't spend much time talking about the situation. And so and you can change these. And go ahead, Russ. We've got some other questions coming. So it's not Mr. Clune. It's Mr. Rowland. Hey, Mr. Rowland. It's great to have you on board with us.
I see Lorraine's question. She says, how do you prepare to handle unexpected questions? And so a response for that, I will tell you that the very similar, Lorraine, to what I just said to Patrick, is have some of those messaging models. But let me give everyone a method for more accurately predicting the questions that will come up. All right. We teach a messaging model that is a journey. We call it the business narrative, and there are 5 elements of it. But the 2 major sections of those 5 are the 2 I want to focus on, which is just think of it as problem and solution. And the problem doesn't have to be a problem. The problem could be an opportunity. All right. And I'm not just being optimistic. It could be the status quo is fine right now, but you see an opportunity to make it even better, as opposed to everything is, burning and crashing to the ground. We need to fix that. That's a problem. So it could be a problem or it could be an opportunity. Yeah. Think about your audience that Paul already took us to. Who are they? What do they know? How much do they care? Remember what he gave us, those 7? Think about your audience, and then think about that problem or that opportunity. What types of questions might they ask? And write those down. That will help you predict. And then think about, what are you recommending for a next step or a solution or the path? And when you recommend a solution or a path forward, it's going to involve 2 pieces. If you're taking notes, everyone write these 2 down. Your solution piece, so your next steps, your future, where we're going, will involve 2 things. And this is where a lot of questions will come up. 1, what is your plan? What's the path that you are recommending? We're going to outsource that, or we're going to hire more people, or we're going to invest in this. But what's the path, right? That's 1. This is the path that we intend to take. And here's the second piece. What are the resources that are required in order to follow that path? It could be people, could be time, could be skills, it could be tools, it could be money, it could be any of those things. So it's path and resources. Here in the United States, there's a committee in the U.S. government. It's called the Ways and Means Committee. The Ways and Means Committee. And so even if you don't know what they do, it's the ways and the means. The ways, the path. What path are we going to take? The means, those are the resources to support it. What's the path? What are the resources? So Lorraine, if you'll think about the problem, what types of questions might come up about that? Well, is that really happening? Or do you really think it's a problem or opportunity? And then think about over here. Questions come up in those 3 areas: problem, opportunity, path, and resources. Help you predict. Paul, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's the same for everyone else. That's what happens when Russ talks too long. It puts everyone else on mute. So he's going to shut that off and turn it back on. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty before, and not sure if it was on the platform. Can we hear you, Paul? No? Well, if we can't for the last 5 minutes, you may have to do charades to close us out, and I could close us out. So can I'm going to take one more question. It's showing up on my screen here as well, and from Fiona. Where did it go? It said she usually speaks to accountants. Yeah. How do you keep the presentation on track? My audience is usually accountants. Fiona, this applies not just to accountants. By the way, I'm married to one. 29 years and counting. Couldn't be happier. Anyway, I learned a lot from her about accounting and systematizing things. But if you'll think about the audience, and this is beautiful, Fiona, that you know who your audience is. If they are accountants, and if you can think like the accountant, go back to what I was just talking about the problem or the opportunity, and then the path forward and the resources that would be required. If you'll think about those three elements through the lens of I'm an accountant, what might they question? What might they want more detail on? And then let me give this to for everyone. This especially applies to executives. So if you're speaking to executives, but everyone all the way down, is when you are speaking to an audience, give them less. You've probably heard the expression less is more. If you'll give them less, here's what audiences love about it. Here's what speakers love about this. You give them less. If it's structured well, their brain is going to be on a journey with you. And once you give them some information, it's going to generate a question in their mind. And that question in their mind is the next area that you are going to move into. But you don't necessarily have to give it to them because they're tracking with you. And so executives, if I give them just a little bit, the executive will raise their hand and say, hold on, go into that. I want to hear more about that. So why is this an issue? And how much is this costing us? I knew they were going to ask that. And I wanted them to ask that. Guess what my next slide is? It's the answer to their question. But you give them a little, let them interact with you. Audiences love it because they're tracking with you, and it causes them to ask questions, to fill in the blanks. They're driving. You've heard of autonomy. They get to drive, and they love that. The second thing the speaker loves about it is it creates a more of a conversational environment. So if anything, I will do less is more. And Lorraine, I'm sorry if I'm echoing. You don't need to hear my voice twice, definitely.
Still can't hear you, Paul, but.
No, can't hear you. So, Paul, do you want to, because we're running up against it right here. And so I'm happy that we had your audio throughout. But I know that you would want to close this out and that you would want to invite, if there are more questions afterwards, how to connect. And also what Amy had talked about having coming to the Presenting for Success program in Ireland. And David, I see you said you're asking your boss if you can attend. The answer is no. I would love to go as well. Not going to happen. Not this time. Next time, yes. But David, next time, I want you to be co-presenting with Paul. David is one of our outstanding coaches and facilitators as well. I appreciate him being on here. It's early here in the States, but I'm glad that he was able to join us. As we wrap things up, we want to invite you to connect. You can connect and follow NxtGEN on LinkedIn. I know we're on several different platforms right now, so you may be watching us on YouTube or on LinkedIn, maybe another platform. On LinkedIn is the best way to get in touch with Paul. Follow NxtGEN, NxtGEN. You see the logo up in the corner. Follow him. He puts out content like this all the time. He puts free tools out there all the time. And then he offers workshops because he's got to pay the bills too. So he'll offer paid workshops as well. I highly recommend them. And here's why. Paul, as I told you, is not only an expert at his craft, he has trained and coached individuals from the senior-most C-level executives all the way down in multiple countries. He has done this around the world in APJ, all over Europe, here in the States. He's got a lot of experience. And here's how I've seen him do this, and I like to think that I do this as well, that we've got a lot of experience, and we're always happy to share what we've learned. We're always happy to share what we've learned. We've seen a lot of things from other speakers that have worked phenomenally, and we will tell you about that and how to do it. And we've seen some other speakers fail. In other words, do things that do not work well. And you know what? They've left an impression on us. We've remembered those. We dissect those as researchers to figure out what could they have done different. And we want to share those tools with you. So thank you all for joining us. Paul, you want to try your microphone again?
Well, I
No?
don't think the mic is going to work.
Yeah, it
yes,
does.
it is.
You're back.
And so
It is.
every moment is a moment of truth. This was a great moment of truth and a moment that I will never forget. Amy, thank you for everything that you have done in the background. Russ, thank you for the opportunity, your time, your inspiration, insights, and knowledge into executive presence. And above all, thank you to all of the attendees here today. This was a bit of a bumpy one, but you know what? Every mistake is the portal of discovery. I just want to make more mistakes. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. See y'all real
Thanks,
soon.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Wow.